Our next guest has put his own twist on the historical and hysterical A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. This newly imagined production preserves the classic show's structure, music, and book while creating an interesting new framing device. Tapping into the show's famous opening number, Comedy Tonight, the director has crafted a show within a show concept where a 1966 theater troupe is putting on the show on the first day the Uniform Time Act, which made daylight savings time a national law, has taken effect. Hello, is this thing on?
Yeah.
Some cast members have forgotten to move their clocks forward. A bit of confusion and chaos ensues, and overseeing all of this chaos, which opens June 1st at the Hillcrest Center for the Arts in Thousand Oaks, is acclaimed actor, director, and a true gentleman himself, Mr. Joshua Finkel.
Hello. Oh, my people. Thank you. And
there you go.
He's always directing this one. He's always directing this guy. Did you see
the
that?
first person that's come in and done that.
And I tell you, I
love it. It's such a great bit.
I wish we had a camera in here because he even did like the closed fist closure
and scene.
And scene. Yes. Oh, okay, Josh. I got to ask you.
Yeah.
Funny thing that happened on the way to the forum is funny. I mean, I would say this. It's funny enough. It's one of the strongest. I mean, and I'm a huge fan of it because when I was in Chicago with my friend Ron Orbach, I did a production of Laughter on the 23rd Floor.
Right, of course.
And I played Kenny, who was modeled after Larry Gelbart, who is one of the authors of Forum.
Yeah, Forum.
So I feel this sort of special affection for it. But when did this idea occur to you to take this famous, iconic thing and sort of add this little twist to it?
Well, being in the business, I'm a huge fan of projects that have that topic, like Noises Off, or Bullets Over Broadway, or Waiting for Guffman, where you're present for your consideration, present to the dynamics within the show business people themselves.
Right.
And I just always find that really fascinating and funny and true and resonant. And then I thought, with this particular production, I thought, not necessarily ever knowing in the casting process who's going to walk in the door, and that's really who you have to choose from, It provided a looseness and an openness to it depending upon who showed up, and I really kind of grabbed the reins with that. And I also, I'd seen fantastic productions of it, and then I'd seen less than fantastic productions of it. And I came to really realize in kind of researching it a bit that this is not at all an actor-proof show at all. Mm-hmm. So it can be, like comedy, dying is easy, comedy is hard. You have to hit it, or it's like, it's too melodramatic, or it's too heavy, or it's too something. So I said, how can I kind of craft a safety zone to buffer both things and include one of my favorite topics, which is the show within a show idea? And I said, it's really present in that opening number. It's designed to say you're meeting the acting company, and then they submerge into the show like a prologus, Shakespearean prologue. They go into the show. It little bits of that resurface throughout, a little bit from Pseudolus mainly as a kind of a Jack Benny, aside commenter.
Right.
And then it really presences itself at intermission, the top of Act 2, and then at the closer. And the rest of the time, the design is just the characters interacting. But then I thought, what would happen if we never lost sight of the dynamic of this particular acting troupe, and also throw it, you always ask in farce, how can I make this harder to increase the stakes and make the farce authentic, and these crazy things that happen with timing and insanity be truthful given what's happening? And I said, well, what would happen if not everybody was on the same page with the time change? I thought, that first day is always like, oh, I overslept, I set my alarm. I said, well, when would it be really new for us? And I started doing some research, and I found out about the Uniform Time Act. And so my show is set on Sunday, April 24th, 1966. Really, at 9:40. And it's a thing where that was the first day that all of America lined up from Johnson's, sort of declaration that daylight savings time is annual. It's not just during wartime. It's on and off and occasional. It was going to be twice a year, and that was the first day we sprung forward and did it. Mm-hmm. So there's my conceit is that the audience got that memo, and some of the actors did, but not all of them. Right. And because it's 66,
which is probably how it was.
Exactly. And because it's 66, there's no cell phones. There's no way to just like text them and get them over here. And also who this troupe is, they are called Traveling the Broadway Classical Tent Troupe. So they're kind of like a B-team ramshackle group of touring classical actors that pitch a theater tent. Remember theater tents? Like,
Yeah.
So theater tent in a parking lot, do one of their sort of avant-garde mid-60s versions of classical plays, and keeping with the kind of revolutionary living theater, Grotowski new theater movement on classical works. Their sort of ideology is that if I take a classic play but sort of morph it through a new message, that classic playwright's message will become clearer to the modern audiences. They think that's really kickin', but not all the critics or the audiences think that's kickin'. So there's all this great conceit of who these people are and how they got into this weird one-nighter traveling tent troupe. So they're exhausted. They pitch the tent. They throw out the laundry drying from last night, hang it out, do whatever, a show and rep one of their plays. And I had a great time making up posters. When you come into the theater in the lobby, the whole thing is the theater tent, and you'll see mounted the company members, like who they are, their bios as company members of the tent troupe.
Oh, gotcha.
And production photos of past seasons.
Of past productions.
Things like the anti-maiming of the shrew, can a New York socialite, a battle axe actually be transformed into a New York socialite? The importance of weaning Ernest. Can a young man ever get over being born in a handbag? And then just all what the critics said about it, and these production photos that were just from my memory. Those kind of summer stocky, like half bad. Someone's half looking at the camera, like in the multi-purpose room, kind of bad photos. Yeah. So they just hit the mark. I was like, this is it, And it allows that template for that kind of play. And then with the casting process, I was like, there were some demographics of roles. Hundreds of people came in for that. Like I have a million of those people to choose from, and not one of this slot.
Right.
So I said, why don't we just keep going out of the box and keep using, like, what if those folks aren't here, the time change, and now it's like the ASM is on, having never been on. Or my favorite thing so far with that is the Proteans, who are normally three tumbling tenor guys, and my first Proteans, the pseudoless cover runner-up, through the role, and then I had no one else to choose from. So I chose two of my women that were going to be up for different roles, and I said, you're going to be his mother, you're going to be his sister, you're here to support him from Tennessee. They come up with these great characters, that they're there to see him out of college in his first show, but then the other two guys aren't there. So he ropes in his mother and sister from Tennessee who have never seen the show, are not in show business, and they're the other two Proteans. So what happens in the context of the text is that everything that's normally done sort of presentationally and kind of like a, razzmatazzy, here comes this kind of number and sort of set, it's really spontaneously, the lyrics are spontaneously coined by what's happening right in front of them right now. That's unexpected. Yeah. And so it's always this double level going on.
It does sound it sounds, I want to say Guffman-esque. It doesn't sound like, but it sounds like there's that sort of flavor of fly by the seat of the pants. Oh. But the other thing, too, is that, and I could certainly appreciate this, and you too, Michael, I'm sure, but it's one of these things where you've given the performers just meatball stuff because they get to play two characters.
Yes.
They get to play two characters. You get to not only do, funny thing happened on the way to the forum, but you get to play the actor playing the role in funny thing happened.
Or like, yes, and now I'm interacting with your mother who doesn't really know what to, she's reading like notes on her hand and, all those kind of interesting timing things that are being uncovered and getting more and more delicious just because we keep exploring the given circumstances. My client, Paul Panico, and his business partner, Robert Wybazal, created Panic Productions. It's their second season. And he's just a great guy. And I have many clients of mine who've gone through my A&T Performers Workshop or study with me privately, came across the table in the show. So I have like six or seven clients in it, which is a blast to kind of all get to work together beyond a little, let's get this audition up or let's get this thing up. We all get to like be in the room together. And my team, my choreographer, Mona King, she's fantastic. She's also a client. I've built shows with her. Paul's a client. So we're all kind of on the same horse, and it's really a blast. And the company is just fantastic.
What did you do for content in terms of the script? I mean, did you just write additional material? Did you have improvisations with people? How did that work?
We did some improv, but what I did is I've created a atmospheric pre-show prior to the overture. So that's when you kind of, as the audience is coming in, like one of our courtesans who, is normally Betty Ann, who's the box office girl, the front flap girl, because there's no box office. You're the front flap.
The front flap
the front
girl.
Flap.
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah. And so that kind of like
I was a front flap girl until
Well-
a little penicillin cleared it right up. But
Oh dear. How vivid. Number 3, and it always comes in 3. So thank you for the third one.
All right.
So that kind of interplay it's just been such a blast to keep building out on. And the fourth, like, just keep stoking the fire. What else is in the burner is, I said, what if the Edge of Night casting people were here? So more of our like seasoned people, like the people who play John Gaston and Lisa Gaston, his wife, who play Miles and also play Domina. They're a couple in real life, and I'm having them be a couple, but they're just also, get me the heck out of this tent thing, this one-nighter tent crappy tour, right? And when they bring in the news that the Edge of Night people did come, so that gives you an extra Bunsen burner push toward his overdone, funeral wailing thing. It's also Brock, the actor, trying to get that next series regular on the soap. Right. So Pseudolus is, the double entendre that's just given in the lines. I think we've suffered enough. Has to be just as he's just flooring it, overacting Medea bad. Right. Yeah. As just, you could just do that kind of Bob Hope take out and just say that line. Like, I think we, meaning the audience, we all have, like, please tone it down.
Right.
This sucks,
Showboating.
So, it has this other level. It's the same thing, but it has a great overlay. And I'm peeing in my pants because, it's not a thing where you'll compare it against other productions that are always sort of a same template. Right. And it also has a freedom to not be too heavy-handed. You have that freedom to kind of bob and weave around it, and it's just incredible. It's a great group of people, and we're just howling. We're going into tech this weekend, and we're putting together, like, how do you get the 60s headband off, and you get the toga on, and how do you get that, crossover, and so all that stuff. So I bring a suitcase full of toys that are, like rubber chickens. Rubber chickens are in the show. As a standard,
what a surprise!
Yeah, exactly right. And
well, that sounds like a bit much.
Well, but here's my justification of it is that they were still out from the show the night before, which was Macbeth, fair is foul and foul is fair. And so that company would have. Oh, I know. It goes deep. It goes really. The follow through goes deep.
This is right up your alley, Mr. Paul Stroili.
It's wacky.
You look like. What were you going to say, Michael? You were just.
I said this is right up your alley.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
No. I'm looking at Joshua speaking so beautifully about what he's doing, and he's so articulate.
Oh, thank you.
If only everyone, if you've not even seen the show before, you're kind of getting an idea, of what this is all about. Plus, he has the best teeth ever.
Oh, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. My dad's teeth. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Really
teeth.
blessed. I'm really blessed. But thank you, Dad.
And
I got his teeth in his big
you know
toe.
what?
My
They're
mom
good
said.
teeth, and they're real teeth.
Well,
because I'm so tired of the L.A. teeth.
Yeah.
The Dallas Reigns teeth.
Oh, don't you go to Dallas.
What?
He's a nice man.
He's a nice guy, but he looks like he's choking on marshmallows. I mean, the guy's teeth.
It's the tanning thing.
I know.
How can I work that into the show? Wait a minute. How can I work that?
He's an Oompa Loompa who's choking on marshmallows.
He's one of the best. Dallas, if you're listening, don't pay any attention.
Looks like a Tyrannosaurus Rex bobblehead. I'm telling you.
Oh,
it's all
my
teeth. No. I mean, he's a very attractive man. He's a weatherman. He's a good-looking guy. But the teeth are just like nuclear bright. It's like Barney teeth. Like piano keys.
It's like blacklight teeth.
Yeah, he's like
disco
Ross,
teeth.
like
Disco
Ross
teeth.
in that episode of
teeth.
Disco teeth. Anyway,
but I want to say, you also remind me. Has anybody ever said this to you? I thought he was actually wonderful at what he did. Robert Q. Lewis. You look like Robert Q. Lewis. You remember him?
I don't know who that is at all.
He was a television personality, a game show host for many, many years. Very popular, huge game show host. He was an actor and did Broadway and all those things.
And that's interesting because he reminds me of Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island. So,
sorry.
This is a tough room.
Speaking of Vegas.
Hello. When a tumbleweed rolled through.
In Oklahoma. Take cover. Okay.
We could Treasure Island in Vegas.
Okay, a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. We're certainly not done with Joshua, but I want to throw this information out there. Funny thing happened on the way to the forum. Open Saturday, June 1st at 8 p.m. and continue. And of course, don't turn your clocks back because it's not.
No,
daily.
don't miss it. Don't get screwed up.
Saturday, June 1st, 8 p.m. Continues Fridays and Saturdays at 8, Sundays at 2 through June 16th with a special Thursday night performance at 8 p.m. on June 6th. Tickets are $20.
Yeah, and 18 for students and seniors.
18 for students and seniors.
And there's a big parking lot. You can park and everything.
And are available at that's at hillcrestarts.com. That's Hillcrest, like the toothpaste, arts.com.
Speaking of marshmallow teeth.
Or you can call 805. Well, Crest is sponsoring this, isn't that?
There we are. Thank you. Done.
Call 805-381-1246. That's 805-381-1246. And this is at the Hillcrest Center for the Arts. And that is 403 West Hillcrest Drive in beautiful Thousand Oaks.
Right across from the Oaks Mall. So you can have a lovely dinner, go shopping, go across the street, and come to
I
the
love,
show.
I love it out there.
It's great.
Thousand Oaks. Pretty place.
I went to Mastro's Steakhouse out there. You know,
Nice.
Mastro's.
Is that the one across from the Four Seasons?
They, it's interesting. They have one in Beverly Hills and they have one in Thousand Oaks. And interesting, when I drove up to it, because I took Monica there for her birthday, it's like right next to a Jiffy Lube. And I was like, it's just on this little stretch, and it was just it. And then you go inside, and it's just one of the most beautiful restaurants you've ever seen. It's just really odd that it just where it's because like Jiffy Lube and Mastro's and like this
dry cleaner,
yeah. But then it's just spectacular. But I love it out there. It's very.
Is that the one though that's
and it's
across
easy
the
for me to
street
get
from the
because I'm
Four
a little,
Seasons?
What's that?
Is it across the street from the Four Seasons Hotel?
I didn't notice the Four Seasons.
Well, you would have. So
I
apparently,
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Jiffy Lube, Four Seasons, 7-Eleven, dry cleaner.
Something's wrong.
My father is a laborer. I'm an Italian. I'm Italian descent. I'll notice a Jiffy Lube before I notice the Four Seasons. That will pop out a little more to me.
Another thing about Joshua. I am holding ladies and gentlemen,
aside from his teeth,
font.
Holding my teeth.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of his credits as a director and an actor.
5 pages. I got the leather-bound edition.
Oh,
I got the.
Yes.
Well, now how much would you pay? But wait, there's more.
Yeah. Before you answer.
Wow.
No, serious. You could. I mean, you have done a ton of work, Joshua. Just really. I didn't even attempt to. When I put together our little collateral here, Michael, I didn't even attempt to consolidate this into an on-air read because it was just too much material.
Oh, sorry. So you're saying shorten it down, like brevity.
No. I
didn't want to say anything.
No, God.
It's.
I get my car. It's weighing me down. Like the back of my trunk's tipping from that book in the back.
I knew more about you as a performer on Broadway and in national tours than I did about your directing life. So kudos to you, sir.
But did you notice also under special skills, flossing? Oh, right there, under special skills.
Yes.
Again,
no hands.
thanks,
No hands. Just marshmallows.
Joshua, we got a little bit of time left. We got about 7 minutes left, but I'm starting this early because I know, given this history that you have as a performer, and that Michael just pointed out, you will have a couple of these. We always like to ask people, some of our more accomplished performers, about things, disasters that have happened while they've performed, accidents that have happened on stage, usually of a funny nature, on-stage catastrophes, whether directing or performing, and always like to. I should have alerted you to this before.
No, that's fine. No, I have two certainly on the front burner right now. One was I don't know if it was Raleigh or maybe it was one of the Alabama towns. I mean, it was Raleigh, North Carolina. I was on the tour of Les Mis, and we were all going, right before Bring Him Home. Everyone kind of goes to sleep in the barricade, and then Valjean comes forward and goes, God, all right. So, and they either from the radio frequency interference or the sound person flipped the wrong mic, but you just heard, Peter Samuel backstage or Javert saying, "Yeah, well, that was a really good one." Just, like, dun, dun, dun. Oh, that was a really good one. God. It was just like, it's just strange. And I have had certainly him.
Oh, that was a really good one.
Yeah, pair of jacks. Like, oh, God. And then I remember being with Spider-Woman before New York. We were doing it in London, and I think it was in previews, and we were still trying to work out the mechanics of all the scenery moving and the track work. I just remember the jail cell kind of panels that Jerome Serlin, brilliantly designed, that came in, and one thing got like stuck on a track on the bottom, but it kept moving along the top, and it was one of the things like, and the scene's moving, and it's tilting, and it's going to snap and fall on Tita Rivera or Michael McCormick. We're like, and it just, get out of the way! It was just crazy.
Did it write itself?
No, it was like, and stop. Okay. And curtain, and we'll be right back. Okay.
But this was during a performance.
Right, and I was on in the original L.A. company at the Schubert Theater. I was on as Thénardier, the master of the house, having my wedding wig put on, getting into that scene during Empty Chairs and Empty Tables. Reese Holland was singing it on stage, and I'm talking to Michael Moore. We're getting our wig put on, and the mirror starts to like vibrate and pulse toward my face, and we were having an earthquake. We're underneath the basement. I was like, what is the... okay, it's an earthquake. And it lasted probably for about 30 seconds, and it just kept
Which
getting...
is an eternity.
It's forever. Yeah. It was forever. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Like the mirror looked like it was going to burst toward my face. We just, ran under the doorway. We're like, oh my God, it's bad. And Reese and the orchestra did not stop. Like, he just gripped that table in his shawl and his thing. He's like, just keep singing. And the orchestra kept playing. It was like the Titanic,
Yeah.
The guys in the back who were the ghosts, like, just split. They're still watching the lights swing, and they're like, get the heck out of here, And then Kay Cole, who was Madam T, just said, Josh, just so you know, if there's an aftershock when we're on together, she goes, I'm out of there. And I was like, well, I'm on, and I'm staying. I think it is Gloria Swanson that had that theater fall down around me, and I will sing that last note. Are you kidding? That's right.
The Buster Keaton thing where the front of the building falls.
Exactly, right over the window.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
That's scary. That would be very scary.
It's very scary, but then it was like, the people who did stay in their seats and didn't go screaming up the aisles, like, it was just mayhem, right? And he got the most enormous applause because everyone's kind of weathered that 30-second storm together. Like, don't leave, hang. They're still going. We're still going. And then there was no aftershock. But it was unforgettable.
And everyone felt it. It's all there. And then just the collective, not only applause for him being such a pro, but also the collective release of, okay, we're all okay.
We all made it. Like, that was crazy. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
Were you here for Northridge, Michael?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was.
Did you sustain any damage where you lived?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, my home was right in Sherman Oaks on Greenleaf, if you know that street. Mm-hmm. So it's right in the heart of it.
That was right in the
just north of Ventura Boulevard, south of Ventura Boulevard, a couple of blocks. And yeah, it was scary. Mm-hmm. I mean, because everything. I mean, the first thing it happens so late in the middle of the night, and you start hearing anything that's breakable is breaking, and the dishes flying out of the cabinets and the glass, and the kitchen was just covered with glass. And, not knowing what it was and coming out of a dead sleep like that. And I also had a dog to be concerned with. And
did he or she warn you early?
No.
Dog? Oh, really?
No, because
wow.
We were sleeping. So the dog, however, who was a beagle, her name Maggie, she went to the one place in the house that she hated to go for her own self-protection.
The tub?
And it was the shower.
Wow.
The door of the shower opens, and I would give her a bath. And at that stage, she didn't like to go in and have it done, so I would give her a bath in the shower. Wow. And she just hated to get her in there. It took 10 minutes on the slowest walk to doom for her.
Right, the Green Mile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If I'm going in the shower.
Yeah. So I freaked out because I couldn't find her in the house anywhere, and I thought, what the hell? And I just, by happenstance, walked into the bathroom, and the door was still open, and there she was sitting there, just looking at me.
We're friends. I think you know, Michael. Monica and I are friends with Virginia Madsen, actress Virginia
Madsen.
Madsen.
Lovely lady.
And we've met Michael just briefly once. Her brother Michael, and he lived in Van Nuys at the time. He had a home, and he had a little coach house behind it, and there was a pool in between. And he said he was sleeping in the bedroom. He heard a rumble. He felt something. He sat up in bed, and the water from the pool in one roll All of the water had been thrown out of the pool and into the back of his house. The water came up in seconds. The water was up past his bed, and he looked out the window to be looking at an empty pool. Just one.
Yeah.
The roll of the earth
that
just dumped
whipped
all
it up
the
like
water.
a tidal wave.
Ours did something similar, but not that drastic. It didn't make it into the house, but it was scary.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We are out of time.
Yes, we
are.
are.
What a
This
joy
has been a
having you
blast.
on. I'm going to throw this information out here real quick for people. For Funny Thing Happened on the way to the forum, you want to call 805-381-1246 or visit hillcrestarts.com.
That's correct. Don't miss it. Get yourselves to the theater, ladies and
Come
gentlemen.
see us. It's wacky. It's fun.
And Michael, as always, I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Paul. See you on the radio.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Schmunkle.
You're listening to State of the Arts with Michael Sterling and Paul Stroili, right here on LA Talk Radio.